Have you ever felt like the weight of your responsibilities was crushing the life out of you? Like you were constantly running, constantly producing, constantly proving, and yet somehow still empty? This is the paradox of modern life. We are busier than ever but feel more lost. More connected than ever yet lonelier. More productive than any generation before us, but deeply unfulfilled. The culprit? Stress. But not just any stress, the kind that eats at the soul. This isn't the stress of lifting weights or running a marathon. This is existential stress. The kind that creeps in when your actions are no longer aligned with your heart. The kind that festers when your days are filled with shoulds and have tos, instead of wants and believe-ins. But what if this very stress, this inner friction, was not your enemy but your compass? What if it's pointing you back to yourself? The Stoics believe that discomfort isn't something to avoid, it's something to investigate. Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems. Epictetus. In the noise of daily demands, we forget that stress is not just a response, it's a signal that something isn't aligned. And so we run harder, push further, hustle louder. But maybe what we really need is to stop, to listen, to ask the questions we've been too afraid to ask. Why am I doing this? What do I truly care about? Where am I going? And is it somewhere I even want to be? The Stoic path doesn't offer quick fixes. It offers deep roots. And one of its most powerful ideas is this: you don't control the world, but you do control your interpretation of it. So when the deadlines pile up, when the meetings blur together, when you lie awake at night wondering what it's all for, you have a choice. You can see stress as a punishment or as a prompt. You can see it as pressure or potential. You can fight it blindly or follow it inward. Because beneath every overwhelming task there's a deeper tension, the tension between what you're doing and who you really are. The Stoics teach us that we are not victims of fate, but participants in it. Co-authors of our experience. Sculptors of our response. And perhaps the most radical act of strength in an age of burnout is to pause. To remember your values. To ask yourself, is this my path or someone else's? Here's the truth, passion isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, buried under layers of expectation, fear, and distraction. But it's there. And stress? It's the pressure trying to uncover it. Marcus Aurelius, in the silence of the Roman palace, wrote to himself, "Dig within. Within is the wellspring of good, and it is always ready to bubble up, if you just dig." This is where transformation begins. Not by quitting your job and moving to a monastery. Not by escaping life, but by engaging it more honestly. Start small. Before you say yes to the next project, ask yourself, does this align with my purpose? Before you fill your schedule, consider, am I creating or just consuming? Before you complain about being overwhelmed, reflect, what am I prioritizing, and why? These questions don't fix the stress, but they reveal it. They illuminate the disconnection. And once you see it clearly, you can choose again. You can realign. You can return. The Stoics didn't aim for comfort. They aimed for coherence. They knew that a person in harmony with their values could endure anything. And more than that, thrive. Seneca reminds us, if a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. So perhaps your stress is the wind. Strong. Unpredictable. But it's only chaotic if you've lost sight of your port. Rediscover it. Define it. Name the thing that makes your heart burn. Then let that be your guide. Because when passion fuels your purpose and purpose guides your action, even stress becomes sacred. Even struggle becomes sculpture. Even chaos becomes clarity. And that is the Stoic way. But how do we begin this shift, from stress to passion? From overwhelm to inner fire? We start by turning inward. The Stoics believe that we are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them. So often, stress doesn't come from the task itself, but from what we believe it means. A deadline becomes a monster because we fear failure. A conversation becomes heavy because we worry about judgment. A goal becomes a weight because we've forgotten why we're chasing it in the first place. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And he was right. The pressure we feel, the burn of stress, is often rooted in misalignment. We're sprinting toward destinations we never chose, fueled by expectations we never examined. So ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? Is it for applause? For status? For someone else's approval? Or is it because it lights a fire in your chest? When we reconnect to our why, even the hard things become meaningful. The weight doesn't disappear, but now it's the weight of a worthy pursuit, not a meaningless burden. Passion doesn't mean ease. It means presence. It means willingly embracing the discomfort because it serves a higher aim, your aim. Epictetus taught that we should examine our impressions, question them, and reframe them. So when stress arises, we pause and look deeper. Is this tension telling me I'm off course? Or is it simply the growing pain of expansion? Not all stress is bad. Some stress is sacred. Some pressure is the sign of growth, of evolution, of becoming. Like a muscle stretching under strain. Like a seed cracking open underground. But to tell the difference, we must know ourselves. Truly. We must know what matters to us, what principles guide us, and what we're here to do. And this brings us to the cornerstone of the Stoic approach. Living in accordance with nature. Not the nature outside us, but the one within. Each of us has a unique composition. Unique strengths. Unique callings. And when we stray from that internal compass, we suffer. But when we align with it, even chaos becomes choreography. You're not meant to do everything. You're not meant to be everything. But you are meant to be you, fully, deeply, and without apology. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That's not just a rule. It's a reminder of congruence, of acting in harmony with our values. So here's the real shift. Don't run from stress. Listen to it. What is it trying to tell you? Is it warning you of misalignment? Or is it challenging you to rise? Both are gifts, but only if you pause long enough to receive them. Now imagine this. Each morning you wake up, not with dread, but with direction. Not burdened by the day ahead, but anchored by purpose. That's not a fantasy, it's a practice. A Stoic one. It starts with clarity. The Stoics understood that a man without purpose is a ship without a rudder. He may move, but he's at the mercy of every wind, every current, every storm. Purpose then is not a luxury, it's survival. And not just any purpose, but one rooted in virtue, in contribution, in something larger than the ego. Stress in many ways is the soul's protest. It's what arises when we act against what we know to be meaningful. It's the inner voice saying, this isn't it. But instead of silencing that voice with more noise, more work, more distractions, more surface-level achievement, the Stoic listens, reflects, redirects. So how do we find that direction? Begin with the question, what am I here to give? Not what am I here to get? Not what makes me look successful? But what am I uniquely designed to offer to this world, in this short and fragile time I have? That shift, from taking to giving, is where passion lives. Not the fleeting excitement of newness, but the deep burning fire of devotion. Devotion to craft, to people, to principle. When your actions serve something larger than yourself, stress doesn't vanish. It transforms. It becomes fuel. It becomes focus. And yet, this path requires more than insight. It demands discipline. The Stoics trained daily, not just their bodies but their minds. They prepared for adversity, practiced discomfort, questioned assumptions. Why? Because they knew that resilience isn't spontaneous. It's cultivated. You don't become calm under pressure by accident. You don't meet difficulty with grace because you read a quote once. You become that kind of person because you choose it. Over and over. Especially when it's hard. That's the beauty of Stoicism. It doesn't promise ease. It promises transformation. Through effort. Through intention. Through the refusal to be a slave to external chaos. Stress tries to scatter us. Stoicism brings us back to center. And from that center we choose. We build. We act, not react. We wake up and say, this is what matters. This is who I am. And no matter what today brings, I will move with strength, with clarity, with care. Because I've done the work. Because I've faced myself. Because I'm not here to merely survive. I'm here to serve. There comes a moment, quiet, subtle, when you realize that what once broke you now builds you. Not because the world became easier, but because you became stronger. This is the hidden gift inside every pressure, every deadline, every challenge that once made your chest tighten and your sleep shallow. The Stoics didn't seek a life free of demands. They sought the strength to rise to them without losing themselves. And this strength isn't some mythical force granted to a lucky few. It's a muscle, earned through tension, refined through repetition, and honored in stillness. Most people try to escape stress. But the Stoic turns toward it and asks, what are you here to teach me? Let that sink in. What if stress is not your enemy, but your signal? A signal that something in your system, your habits, your priorities, your boundaries, is misaligned with who you truly are. It's not the meeting that's overwhelming you. It's the fact that you said yes when your heart whispered no. It's not the project that's too big. It's the way you forgot to pause, to breathe, to ask why it matters. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And isn't that true of stress? We rehearse the worst-case scenario 100 times before breakfast. We carry tomorrow's weight on today's shoulders. We try to be everywhere at once and wonder why we feel nowhere at all. But here's the Stoic response: return to the present. Not out of denial, but out of discipline. Because this moment, right now, is the only thing within your power. And to waste it on fear about the future is to give away the very tool you need to shape that future. Picture this. You're overwhelmed. Your to-do list is a mountain. Your inbox is a battlefield. The clock is laughing at you. Now stop. Take one breath. Then ask, what would the best version of me do right now? Not the fastest version. Not the people-pleasing version. The truest, clearest, most anchored version. That's how the Stoic lives, not frantically but faithfully. Faithful to principle. Faithful to purpose. Faithful to the idea that peace is not a product of circumstances, but of choices. And those choices, small, quiet, unglamorous, are made in the furnace of pressure. It's easy to be wise when the sun is shining. But who are you when the sky cracks open? That's what Stoicism tests. And that's where your deepest transformation lives. In the silence between stimulus and response. In the dignity of doing the right thing even when no one is watching. In the power of pausing, not to escape, but to engage more fully. Because sometimes the greatest act of courage isn't running faster. It's slowing down, choosing presence, saying no to what distracts so you can say yes to what matters. This isn't about productivity hacks. This is about soul alignment. When your doing reflects your being, stress loses its sting. You're not just performing tasks. You're expressing truth. You're not just getting things done. You're becoming someone. And that, above all, is the Stoic path. Not to avoid the fire, but to become fireproof through truth, intention, and relentless self-honesty. So the next time stress knocks, try this. Don't run. Don't numb. Don't hide. Stand tall. Breathe deep. And ask, what virtue is life asking of me now? Is it patience? Courage? Discipline? Compassion? Choose that. Practice that. Let that virtue shape the moment, not the noise, not the pressure, not the fear. Because when you do, stress transforms. It stops being a thief. It becomes a forge. And in that forge you do not burn. You are tempered. Not overwhelmed, but refined. Not scattered, but sharpened. Not reactive, but ready. This is how Stoics turn stress into strength. Not in theory but in practice. Not someday but now. There is a quiet truth that lives beneath every chaotic moment, a whisper beneath the noise of modern life. It says, you are not your stress. You are not your calendar, your missed deadlines, your uncertain future. You are not the tension in your shoulders or the endless scroll of tasks that feel heavier than they are. You are the one who notices, the one who breathes, the one who chooses how to respond when life does not go according to plan. And that is everything. The Stoics did not promise a life free of hardship. They did not teach us to escape the weight of existence. They taught us how to carry it with grace. Because the goal is not to eliminate stress, it's to understand it. To meet it not with panic but with presence. To use it not as a weapon against yourself, but as a tool to reveal who you truly are. A person of principle. A person of depth. A person who refuses to be defined by fear, because they've chosen to be shaped by purpose. And that purpose, it isn't something you wait to find at the end of the road. It is something you practice one moment at a time. It's in the way you show up when no one is clapping. It's in the questions you ask when everything feels heavy. It's in the courage to say no to what steals your soul, and yes to what stirs it awake. This is not easy work, but it is sacred work. To build not a perfect life but an intentional one. To wake up each day and return to your values, not when it's convenient but especially when it's not. To fail, to rise, to learn, and still return with love to the path. Because growth doesn't always look like climbing. Sometimes it looks like sitting still, looking within and letting go. Letting go of the need to control everything. Letting go of the illusion that your worth is measured by how much you produce. Letting go of the lie that you are behind. You are not behind. You are becoming. Right now, in this moment of reflection, in this stillness you chose to make space for, your mind is remembering something it always knew. That peace is not found when life gets easier. Peace is found when you get clearer. Clearer about what matters. Clearer about what drains you. Clearer about who you are when everything else fades. And that clarity, that is the fire of Stoicism. Not cold detachment but fierce intention. Not passive endurance but active becoming. To choose what is within your control. to release what is not, to walk forward not in a straight line, but in alignment. So the next time stress finds you, and it will, don't ask, how do I escape this? Ask instead, how can I meet this moment with virtue? Can I bring patience here? Can I bring focus? Can I bring love even when it hurts? This is how stress becomes your teacher. How pressure becomes your path. How life, even when it tests you, becomes the very place where you wake up to your own power. And as you walk this path, as you build this inner citadel, remember this. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to be fully yourself. Rooted, aware, free. The world may still swirl around you, but inside, calm. Because you've made your peace not in the absence of chaos, but in the presence of clarity. This is the Stoic way, and it is yours to walk, today and every day. So choose it, live it, become it.